All right, guys. So these notes are kind of just adding to our learning goal of rotation versus revolution. This idea of understanding the difference between the rotation and revolution. But we're going to take it a step further by talking about the seasons on Earth and what causes the seasons on Earth. A lot of times we think of weather when we think of seasons, but it has everything to do with this relationship between the Earth and the sun. So we know that on Earth we have 4 seasons. Now, not everywhere on Earth experiences all 4 of these seasons. Depending on where you are on Earth, it may be like summer all of the time, or it may be closer to winter all of the time. But the majority of Earth does experience these 4 seasons in some way, shape, or form. But why do we have them? And why do we have, why is it hot in the summer and cold in the winter? And kind of that medium in the spring and the autumn. Let's talk about it. So, are you ready? It is 2 things that cause the seasons. It is the tilt of the axis. The Earth is tilted on an axis. So instead of going straight up and down on this invisible line that you can kind of see right here, instead of going straight up and down, it's tilted about 23.5 degrees. So if you think about like in skateboarding, if you can do a 360, that means you spin all the way around. If you can do a 180, that means it's halfway, right? So 23.5 is just a little bit off of center. But it's because of that little tiny tilt that we actually have the seasons. It's the tilt of the axis combined with the revolution around Earth that causes the seasons. You can see here this equator line. The sun is going to hit the top of the Earth more directly than it's going to hit the bottom of the Earth, or what I would call the butt of the Earth. So it's actually going to be summer in the northern hemisphere, which is above the equator line, and it's going to be winter in the southern hemisphere, below the equator line. So if you are in a different hemisphere, you actually have opposite seasons going on. So when it's summer in, let's say, the United States, it's actually winter in Australia, which is somewhere that is south in the southern hemisphere. So that's why we have the seasons, those 2 things. So you can see here kind of that combination. Obviously, this is not to scale. The sun is much larger than the Earth. But here we can see that in the winter in the northern hemisphere, which the winter solstice is December 22nd. So it's right at the beginning of winter. The top of the Earth is faced away from the sun. So we're going to be receiving less sunlight. And then you can see here in the summertime, that top of the Earth is facing towards the sun. So that's when we're going to have summer, June 22nd. Now, September and March mark fall and spring. And you're going to kind of have similar weather there. Both sides of the Earth, whether northern or southern, are receiving the same amount of sunlight here. So those are the 2 things that cause the seasons to occur: the tilt of the axis and the revolution around the sun. And also, you guys can watch the video I made to see this demonstrated as well.